Hi, good morning once again, and thank you for joining us here on Prime Morning. Time now for BTH, and today we just want to take your view and your comments on a number of things that are happening in the news. We want to take your comment on the polling station nominations and anxiety that was caused a few days ago, and also what's happening with the e-levy. Yesterday we had a conversation, or the town hall conversation up north, particularly the Upper West. What's your take on it? The finance minister is still firm on the decision that Ghana wouldn't have to go out there to seek help, and that we can also bridge the gap by raising internally revenues here in Ghana. What's your take on that? UTAC strike, there's an update on that. Maybe I will also read to you what the members have been saying, especially that was tweeted by Professor Ransford Jampo, and also their communique that was released yesterday as well. So you might want to join us. We'll open the phone lines already. It is your take on the news today. 0302-211-693 or 94-0020. Jay, why is it that every time the number is always like, I have a deformity with numbers, but if it's money,
you can count it on 0302-211-693 or 694. You can call us on there. But maybe you should just tackle the topic on with regards to the town hall meetings on the e-levy. I want to ask you a question personally. Do you think the approach of government on trying to communicate what e-levy is supposed to do or what it is for has been one of the contributing factors to the reaction from Ghanaians on how this is supposed to be taken or what it's supposed to do?
So particularly the reaction as to whether Ghanaians say they haven't seen much of what has been already, what taxes that have been collected have been used for already. So that's why they're not too enthused about it. Government is also of the view that maybe citizens do not really understand what the situation is.
Exactly.
So maybe they should have a one-on-one conversation.
And that's why I'm asking that the approach on how, because it looks like probably eventually we'll still come to the conclusion on this e-levy. Maybe it will be passed. Now, if it is passed, the question is that, how was this communicated to us? Because, I mean, yes, it was brought to Parliament. It was announced, by Minister of Finance, given a little explanation on there. But that is to the discerning people who would understand political conversation and parliamentary affairs. But the ordinary Ghanaian, now, how do you communicate this addition of taxes or the reason to tax something like this to the Ghanaian and its purpose? And understanding the fact that, you have also a wide gap of literacy to cover when it comes to, in vast areas, formal education.
Yeah.
You have to understand that communicating anything on charges to the average person who's already suffering a certain level of hardships, in lifestyle, per economic situations, it means that the person will not take this lightly. And that's the reason why now the introduction of these town hall meetings, I feel, should have been the very first things that should have even come before this conversation picked up. I feel it's taking a long time. Well,
it is absolutely a good time when they say that now we understand more than ever what democracy is. If I look at the town halls that have started, especially the one that started in Koforidua, I saw a good representation of each stakeholder. You'd find somebody representing the market women who's speaking and asking questions to market women.
It has to be drilled down.
Yeah, I've seen the church.
What is NCCE's role in all of this? Because I remember when VAT was coming up, was it? I mean, yes, it was spearheaded by, if I can't recall, I was way too young, but I don't know if it was a finance ministry spearheaded project in terms of discerning the information to Ghanaians. But I do believe that we have communication channels that need to, because by now, if e-levy is going to be passed and if we are advocating for it, government is advocating for it, then like you're saying, it has to drill down to Gong beaters. Exactly.
So yesterday I caught up with a conversation with the Deputy Communications Director at the NCC, Kathy Adi, on one of the radio stations, and she was complaining so much about how corporate institutions do not support them if they take budgets to them. My confusion, however, was that this is a government institution, and why are you on your way to private institutions? And she went as far as saying that, oh, well, we bring you budgets and you don't help us, but if it was a Hip Life concert, you will. And even went as
that
far
is
as...
government,
Yes.
NCC to government.
No, NCC to corporate bodies. Saying
Oh.
that they do not support them if they wanted to go on a certain campaign. And even went on to say that if it was a high life or a hip life concert, they're willing to support. And even if it was a beauty pageant. And I was like, wait a minute. I mean, I was driving. I said, wait a minute. I was fuming. I
can actually answer that on behalf of government. On behalf of corporate bodies.
Corporate bodies.
I can say that, well, corporate bodies, we don't want to be aligned with political parties and their ambitions.
Even with that, we're asking, what's the budget like? She said that it's public information, and so we should go and look for that information, and that except that every year the budget is better. But she actually complained about how they're under-resourced, where you'd have NCC personnel.
You do remember when you were here during the COVID-19 times?
Yes, said that they would have to walk from town to town talking to people. I'm just imagining how an NCC personnel can meet me when I'm on my way to my farm, trying to get me to understand to want to, accept e-levy.
Well, MFR, clearly,
But the town halls really are making an impact.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying, that the strategy on this should have been right from the onset, that people need to be sensitized, people need to be educated.
Maybe they're afraid of precedents when they start a certain precedent, and then eventually each time there's a policy and it has to be, passed, they would have to spend resources trying to understand, trying to explain to citizens. You see, there's a part of governance where government or administrators who dish out certain policies want to tell you that as a people, you will out a certain level of your decision making to us. And the moment you have willed it out, you have to know that you forfeit it. And so I have to take the decision for you. It's up to you to want to trust and believe that that decision, though looks gloomy and doesn't look like it's working for you, I am telling you that it will work for you. That is really the meaning of giving your power, willing a certain part of your power to government and administrators. But anyway, it's happening. I actually thought that it will start at Koforidua and then maybe at Second and then it will end there. But really, it looks like it's taking a center stage, and they're hoping that by March, at least, it would be passed. Is it getting better? Between the time that we heard about e-levy and the time that the town halls had started, are you fully convinced? Do you understand anything at all? Do you now, want to nurse that idea that, okay, I think I want to go with government? So call us on 0302-211-693 or 94. I just want to also give you an update on UTAG. So it says that, so this is from Professor Jampo. It says that, dear all, be informed that at the National Executive Committee meeting held this evening, that was yesterday, the 21st day of February 2022, we decided to suspend our industrial action and to allow negotiations to commence and be concluded in 2 weeks. This is in view of the court order, appeals from the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education and other eminent Ghanaians. Now, per Section 4B of the UTAG's Constitution, our members have 5 days to vote to accept or reject this decision. We hope our serious overtures are made to convince members. We do not like the strike and hope there's sincerity and more commitment in addressing our concerns beyond any temporal intervention. We ask for a more lasting solution and not a quick fix. This one was one of his tweets even before even before UTAG itself as an association brought out their communique. It will be a good time to also read to you. So update on UTAG strike. So the National Executive Committee, NEC, of UTAG held an emergency meeting again yesterday at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, to deliberate on the way forward regarding the withdrawal of teaching and related services of the various campuses. The lead counsel for UTAG presented critical explanations on the state and impact of the court ruling, which is actually very important because it was they were actually ordered to go back to the classroom. Now, following this, members evaluated the entire strike action with the aim of reaping the full benefit of improving the conditions of services of its members. Now, the neck of UTAG also considered the impact of the industrial action on our students and appeals from the public, especially parents and respected eminent leaders, including former President J.A. Kufuor and Sir Sam Jonah, Chancellor of the University of Mines and Technology, TAQUA, the University of Cape Coast, respectively. Now, the neck of UTAG also considered the appeal from the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education to suspend the strike action to negotiate the report and report to them within a week. So it is expected that they suspend it temporarily, and then that's to the 4th of March. And if after the 4th of March they do not have concrete, then this time around they're really bent on, if you said you're going to do something on this day and on this time on the God's calendar, that should be done. Otherwise, after 4th of March, you don't have to resume the strike action again. So that's the option that's represented from UTAG. How do you also feel about that? We'll take your comments on that. Do you think that it is a good time for the NCC chair to actually take up an ECOWAS appointment, considering the fact that we...
Well, I mean, that's a personal decision. And I think that at this point in time, it's about growth and maturity. I mean, in terms of career growth. And I mean, and it's great to see women, taking such leadership roles heavily contested by a male-dominated space. So I stand for it. And of course, it also gives reason to have people also fill up spaces, and gives opportunity for other people to take out the roles. So it's a good step in the right direction. The only thing that bothers me is about NCC not being heavily involved in the conversations about talking about e-levy. Does it mean that there are divisions in terms of?
Oh, they did their bit though. I mean, they're doing their bit. It looks like people are more convinced when they see the finance minister who would be addressing.
For me, if I see finance minister involved in the communication, I feel desperation. That's the sense I get from it. I feel a sense of desperation because there are people who are mandated to be heavily involved with to communicate, and if it reaches a point where the boss himself has to now come and speak about it, then you see that there's a real sense of urgency and desperation that is being but that's just my personal opinion.
You don't think that for town halls it allows people to ask follow-up questions and all of that, an NCC person can do the explanations and all of that. But when it needs explanation to policies,
I mean, this is like asking. Yes, it's a special. I mean, it's finance. It's a specialized area. But I mean, hey, it's no problem. Either finance minister will be doing this conversation as well. But I just feel that the strategy should have been thought through properly before initiating. The whole educating the public, because sometimes you need to let people understand what the situation is. It would have been an opportune time to let Ghanaians understand that, look, probably, and I'm not holding brief again for government, I'm just giving my opinion on how this would have gone, that we came from an era of the world was hit hard by COVID-19. We saw businesses really suffering and going down. And this also meant that people had to be taken care of. It meant that us looking for money to take care of the people. It meant us going to seek for external source of funding to help. So we did all that, and now it has brought our country's debt, to a higher stake. And this means that we need to cover it up. We need to pay back those monies because we enjoy certain things like electricity, free electricity or so. Yes, and there was water also at a point, and that was free. All these things have to be paid for now, and we need to generate internal funds to go and pay for these things.
That's the explanation.
So in view of that, we are trying to find ways to government to collect money to go and pay these things. And I'm not saying that on the back of COVID I'm just saying that there should have been proper ways to educate people to come to understand it, because one thing I understand about Ghanaians is that we are very understanding people. But equally, if you also don't do what you are tasked to do properly, we will come hard at you. And that is exactly what the government is getting with reactions from people on e-levy, because taxing globally is done.
Nobody likes to be... Who
wants to pay more money? Nobody wants to pay more money. But if need comes up, I mean, definitely it would have to be considered. And now people are asking the questions, okay, if you are asking for an extra tax, what about the old ones? So great. Let me understand what the old ones are doing and the weight that is on those old ones.
But they're telling you saw free SHS.
Great. So that's what I'm saying, that you have to communicate. And I think that's why I find a problem, that you have to communicate what is already being used or done, with the other source of funds. Let people understand. Let people buy into your Let people be empathetic about your situation that you are in.
Is that the right way? Should people be empathetic?
Well, their strategy, it's psychology. You know, you need to work on the people's emotions. But when you throw it hard on people, if you throw it hard, you expect hard.
Well, we welcome your comments on social media. You can tweet us at JoyPrimeTV or #PrimeMorning. Take a few of your messages that you have sent in. This one is coming from Edwin inside Kumasi, Ibuakwa. Edwin says that, good morning. We won't support e-levy even in our graves. If they can't govern this country without this daylight robbery tax, then they should just resign because we're tired of them. What kind of incompetence is this? We were told Mahama was incompetent, but Nanado is real definition of incompetence. Wow. I like the way people are able to dish out, you know, words. Okay, so the finance minister is not serious. I mean, I think we can. Is there any other word we can use to?
Well, you can't polish. I mean, people always want to go hard on these things. Yeah. But I'm saying, I mean, I don't come back to blame hard on whether it's President John Dramani Mahama or it's President Akufo-Addo.
As for the ripple effect of
this
started
I don't even see I see it as we have brought ourselves to these points, you know.
Okay, so the finance minister is not serious. He doesn't think about the public. He and his family can pay the e-levy, but as for us, the public, they should forget about it. I'm sorry, you didn't add your name. So next time, please send your name so that I can see exactly where you're texting us from. So I'm Selik from Sugakope. This minister going around thinking that they would convince we, the poor Ghanaian, should forget it. Forget it to do. They even think about what they're going through right now in the country. I'm not too clear on that, but the people are rejecting the e-levy. Why can't they rest it? We're suffering. If they like, they should come to Volta region and hear from us. All those town hall meetings, who is going to account for them? Okay, what's happening in the Volta region that you don't think they can be able to come in? Okay, so Ibuakwa, Edwin from Ibuakwa, have you sent another message or you've deleted it? Okay, so yep, we're taking your comments. If you don't mind, you can call us on 0302211693 or 94. Eventually, what will be the way if it is shoved down your throat? What can you do, Jay?
Well, we don't have any option but to go with it. And,
but truly,
yes,
government needs money. Do we appreciate and agree that government needs money? Well, I mean, irrespective of the fact that there's wastage and all the other concerns, we definitely know that to run, I mean, to pay salaries of public officials,
the police service, the military, you know, and all other civil servants. Like, I mean, it's you can understand the weight of, you know, now look at what's happening with NAPCO, for example. People haven't paid in the past 6 months, you know, and you can clearly see the frustrations in the system. And UTAG, they're asking for more, you know, and all these things clearly show that there's something that is happening that is not too cool in governance.
NAPCO, what even gets my attention is the fact that they're not even just concerned about the payments only. They're worried about the fact that they have gotten a certain level of training, but they are not retained as workers in such institutions. And yet every day there are new people that are being employed in that same institutions. And so after even they've been paid their salaries or their allowance, okay, so salaries and allowance, after the allowance, then what? If they go back home and then they spend their allowance, then what? What happens?
So let's break it down to a layman's understanding of what I think is happening. Okay, so let's take it as you have a tall priority list of payments to make. It's not that you're not making money; you are making money. But when you look at your priorities, you look at the things that in the chain.
No, they say they're not making money.
Well, no, but money is coming back into governance. But the thing is that the expenditure, you know, it's business. I mean, it's expenditure that is really high. So definitely, any money that comes in goes back into paying things. But you have a priority list of things you need to take care of, your Euro bonds, your loans that you've taken, and so many things. So when money comes in and you look at the persons you feel you can sacrifice in your food chain, then you sacrifice it. I mean, look at now what's happening. Just increment of fuel prices. It affects everything.
People are of the view that if we are not ready to pay for e-levy, then at least they would at least take some tax on fuel.
Well, so just double attention, double divided mind here, but raising conversations about cutting down on expenditure with regards to various government bodies, and I keep on asking myself, and like I'm saying, I'm not a government spokesperson, but I like to analyze things on a layman's point of view. I'm wondering how much can be saved even though, yes, a lot can be saved, but imagine how much can be saved if truly, let's assume that, okay, now there's a pool of vehicles that governments would be working with as opposed to buying new vehicles every 4 years when new parties come into power, and work with a pool of vehicles that ministers and state officials can always be using. You can look at that amount of money, but when you compare that amount of money to
that is needed,
that is needed to resolve,
but
so there's a desperate action now to find ways to make money. Anyway,
anyway, we'll pick up on that conversation, but let's go to Teshi and talk to Susie. Hi, Susie. Good morning. Do I have Susie on the line? Hi. Hi, Susie. Do you hear us? Maybe Jay, maybe talk. I should hear you.
Well, no, I think.
Hi.
Okay,
we're sorry. So we're asking that if we reduce the wastage or we rule out wastage, or if we cut down on expenditure. Wastage is different.
Okay.
And so also cutting down on expenditure or overhead cost.
It's not even about cutting down expenditure in governance. It's also about cutting down in disciplinary actions by citizens.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
The cost
now, in
of
recent times, there's a story in here I think that I caught wind of in one of the papers. I wish I could just take a minute to find it. That somebody who had been arrested on an Ashaiman person had been arrested stealing electrical poles on the motorway.
Oh, Jay.
Now, we have complained bitterly about the state of the motorway. Now, that's another story for another day. That we have to look at the growing number of bus stops that are now active on the motorway now, and the number of people crossing the motorway. That is another conversation for another day, MFA.
Okay, so
but coming to wastage and misuse of properties and things,
and cutting down reducing overhead costs.
Yes.
That total amount, people have said that the 6.9 million that is expected to be raised from the e-levy, it's just a very minute amount of money that you. Anyway, let's go back to Tishi and then talk to Susie. Hi, Susie. Hello, Susie.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling us.
I'm Auntie Susie. I'm calling from Teshi.
Okay, Auntie Susie. Which one of our topics do you want to touch on?
Hello. I'm just asking how much these town hall meetings are costing the country. Because we need money. And they are going around the country.
Auntie Susie's answer.
I want to talk about the e-levy and the town hall meetings.
Yes, please go on.
Yes, I'm asking how much it is costing the country.
Mm-hmm.
They are going around the country doing, town hall meetings. How much is it costing? What is the budget?
Well,
okay, you've asked the question.
Auntie Susie, maybe that's I can say, I mean, not politically biased in any way, but I can tell you that if you're looking for money, you use money to fish for money. So it will cost you money to find money. I mean, it's like you want to sell, yam. You would have to. Aside from buying all the ingredients you need to find the yam, you have to buy a table.
To put the yam on it.
To put the yam on it. Those things that you might not think, but it is part of your operational costs. So.
Thank you, Auntie Susie, for calling in asking this question. I mean, it was another question that came from Salik, who sent a message from Sugakope in the Volta region. But for Finance Minister, Information Minister, the MCs, and all these people that mostly are spearheading the e-levy, are they not already on salaries? Are they going to be paid because they are going?
No, they wouldn't be paid.
I doubt if there's some certain level of a budget allocation. I mean, because they're already working, it's part of the work already. And so it's a conversation that is coming up. But anyway, thank you for joining us. It looks like we had challenges to our phone lines today. You were unable to call, but if you did, thank you so much. Let me see if I can read the final message that came from. Okay. I am Richard from Asen Kusha. We Ghanaians will not accept the e-levy. Why should we accept something that we know that the government will not use it for the right thing? This is an issue of accountability. Ben from Tema also says that, to be sincere, because of MFS, oh God. Okay. So, thank you for watching Prime Morning anyway. But with the issue with regards to e-levy, If the government stop his luxury life, we would all comply and help build the country. If not, they should forget about it. I like the way you wrote the forget about it. This is Ben from Tema. Ben, I've seen your message and thank you so much. You didn't add your name, but okay, your name is Susanna Beidu. He says that, Susanna says the Ghanaians are suffering. From Kintampo, please, this is not time the Ghanaian need e-levy. Okay, thank you for your message. And finally, Finance Minister is, oh no. Wow, people can really dish out words. Okay, I'm sorry I'm unable to read that message, but thank you for joining us with all of your comments.
It's very simple.
Yeah?
The thing, it will happen. The taxing of mobile money would happen.
Will it?
It will happen. But we'll just have to find, if you want to avoid it, let's find alternatives to sending money.
Don't do that.
That's all. If I owe you and I cannot pay e-levy charges on my transaction. Thank you very much.
Do have a good one. Thank you for joining us. So Good Living comes up next. We're talking about lupus. Yeah, I was telling you about my friend that I lost to lupus, 31-year-old, beautiful, energetic woman. And I just heard about this, I'd say 4 months ago. I'd never heard about lupus. And so today we'll get to learn about it. So do stay. Good Living coming up.